Welcome back to Ball Watching. Look who I found here, and look where we happen to be today. Thank you all. If you're tuning in live, we especially appreciate you as we had some technical difficulties getting that stream up and running with some good audio quality. And this one might be a little bit different today for us, Justin. Again, we're doing a live show. Don't do a ton of these anymore. We'd like to do more, honestly. But if you know of a cool venue or someone that wants to entertain us, let us know. For sure. It would be a fun time. But obviously, I'd be remiss. Look behind us. We are at Hoffman Brothers today. And for those of you that caught the kickoff to the original stream, we had our friends Tango and Jazz here, who you will be seeing from at some point in the show. Jazz was not about Jake, but maybe he will be on the second go around. But again, we're at Hoffman Brothers, and the reason that we're talking about puppies, reason we're here is obviously Hoffman Brothers is our partner for 2025, an amazing company. And they're partnered with Stray Rescue STL from February through March, where a portion of all their sales every single year for 11 years now running go to Stray Rescue STL. It's an incredible cause. Again, we have 2 of those dogs right now here that are currently being fostered, looking for a permanent home. And what better, synergy can you find than someone that does such a good job by St. Louis residents, but also is looking out for the community on a broader basis as well.
And not only that, Jake, we're extremely lucky to have Hoffman Brothers as our partners and having us here and hosting us here. But also with that, extremely lucky that they are willing to do a giveaway for you all because of why we're here today. So this giveaway is what is it? 2 free tickets to the game on May 10th against San Diego at home, the new expansion club. This is one that you're not going to want to miss. This is one that we know that tickets can be a little pricey. This is going to be worth your time because guess what? All you need to do, Jake, instead of paying for those tickets, you just need to go to the post that we just threw up on our Instagram with Hoffman Brothers, like and comment on that post, and make sure you're following us and Hoffman Brothers, and boom, you have a chance to win 2 free tickets to a city game against the new expansion club.
And he didn't misspeak for those listening at home or back on the episode. 2 free tickets to a premier matchup. It's the first ever home match for us against new expansion team San Diego FC to get your ride into Energizer Park for free. So go enter that. We're not going to be blasting a ton of this on social media. We want people that listen to the show and respect, Hoffman Brothers and everything that we're doing with them as well to have a chance to win this. So make sure you go to Instagram, like Justin said. Make sure you're following us both, and even throw Stray Rescue STL a like and a follow if you'd like to, and drop a comment down below. And those are all the things you need to do to get entered to win those 2 free tickets. Again, big shout out to Hoffman Brothers. We're excited to be here, work on some of the technical issues, but thank you all for bearing with us. And again, if you need anything under the roof, it's the time now. It's the time right now. And honestly, the time was also yesterday. So we're coming out of the winter. We survived. Check on that furnace. Make sure it's still humming for next winter. Storm season, Justin.
I was about to say, did we come out of the winter? I don't know if anybody's seen the weather that's coming up. Literally tomorrow, we're supposed to have hail and tornadoes. So again, don't walk, run to Hoffman Brothers. Go to hoffmanbrothers.com. This is one that you're going to want to get ahead of, folks. You do not want to be behind this because guess what? You're going to need your heat on Sunday, but you're going to need your AC again later in the week. Right now is the time to get that fixed. Do not wait for the storm to hit, and then you're going to be in real trouble.
Agreed. Well, Justin, in normal tradition, let's talk about what we're watching. And caveat, we're no severance on the score. I know the finale's coming. Trust me, I know. But what are you watching, Justin? I'm going to get us kicked off today. So the thing that I've been keeping an eye on, and I'm sure a lot of you are too, just being footy and big soccer fans, is the CONCACAF Nations League, which is coming up. The U.S. is in the semifinal, and they're playing against Panama coming up. And that roster was just announced. And guess who is on that? Not 1, not 2, but 3 St. Louisans, 3 St. Louis Scott Gallagher products, all on the roster. Not really surprising at this point. We have 1 former ball watching guest as well on there. Maybe at some point we'll get to those 3. But we have Josh Sargent, we have Patrick Schulte, and we have Tim Ream, all repping the red, white, and blue in a meaningful match as Poach and the team go to March 20th to SoFi to take on the Panamanians. But look who we have here. We have a guest appearance. Justin.
What have I been watching?
You do the honors.
Oh.
Look at you.
This is Miss Jazz. Everybody say hi to Jazz. Hi, Jazz. Hi. This is what I've been watching, Jake. I've been watching Jazz and Tango just run around this office, have an absolute time. Big thank you again to Hoffman Brothers and Stray Rescue. For any of you that haven't recognized already, go to Hoffman Brothers, go to their Instagram. You'll see that they are having these guys in the office just all the time. These guys are looking to be adopted. Look how cute this is. How do you not just look at this over there? And if you look at this, so Jazz and Tango, obviously their names are after different types of dance. They're part of a litter, and every one of their brothers and sisters are named after a type of dance. And Jazz is just starting to get a little sleepy. She's looking out there. Oh, I think Tango might be a little bit more calm now. Tango's coming back. Oh, look at that.
It's okay.
Oh, maybe not.
We'll try it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Tango down.
It's okay.
Tango does
Tango
not
does
work.
not like me. Tango does not.
Tango's
like
not
me.
in.
Tango's not about it. But promise you, right before this, he was loving me. It's just a camera thing. It's just a camera thing.
Little camera check.
That's okay. I'm going to try 2 times, but I'm probably not going to try a 3rd time with Tango. But love it. I mean, of course, I'm talking now about the CONCACAF Nations League, and you're holding this beautiful little puppy who needs a full-time home. Consider it, y'all. I mean, I have a dog. It's definitely an investment, a lot of time, but it is rewarding, and they love you more than most people probably do, besides your loved ones. So make sure you check out Stray Rescue as well. But Hoffman Brothers is partnered up and linked up with Stray Rescue, and this is a cool synergy we have going with here. But Justin, let's crack into the show. It's going to be a little bit of a debrief on the past match, the first win of the season, which was exciting against the MLS Cup champions, which I don't know if I would have told you was going to be the result heading into that season, but I'm really happy about it, and we'll break down why. And we'll also talk a little bit about the upcoming match with Seattle here at home. This game's now a little bit in hindsight. We're recording on Thursday. This game was on Sunday, Sunday Night Soccer. It was cool with the pregame, the postgame. They paid a lot of attention to it, a lot of good production. Justin, just at the very top, start us off with how you felt about the 11 that Olaf rolled out.
The starting 11, I think Jake was relatively close to where we were going with it. I think the one thing that we've always been wondering is Simon Betcher going to be starting in this game? And I think we've had a kind of a hit here or there in these first 3 games, knowing that obviously Klauss did not start on his birthday, but then he's coming back in this game. And we've talked about it with Mr. Michael Sinnott, Chat City Tactics, and I think this is one that worked out extremely well here. And even then, when Simon did come in, he obviously finished the chance that he had. So, I mean, honestly, when you look at this, you go across the back, Berkey, Horn, Kessler, Hebert, then Wallum, Leuven, Durkin, and Totlin, and then Toyshirt, Hartel, and Klauss. This is one that I actually really appreciate.
Yeah, it's a strong 11. Obviously, I think you're upgrading with Durkin replacing Watts in the starting 11, and bringing Toyshirt back, but with a new partner in Klauss. I think just the synergy between a Klauss and Toyshirt and a Klauss and Betcher is so much better than what we saw with Toyshirt Betcher. I'm not saying that's never going to work, but I think we liked a lot of the product that we did get to see, and I think you saw a much better version of Hartel. As well, which we'll get to. But I think for me, the beginning theme I wanted to discuss here was strong starts, getting off on the right foot, applying pressure, and coming out of the gates flying, which this team did. We had some early chances, one of them through Wallum. We had some good buildup and some good, early attacks from set pieces as well, which I want to dedicate a little bit specific time to set pieces. But for me, the first 15 minutes, we came out humming. We came out ready to take the battle to LA. And we didn't really give them much respect, which I think is good. Obviously, they're having a tougher start to the season, but they are the reigning MLS Cup champions, and we are away from home. Maybe some might think we're going to come out a little bit more cagey, but that was not how I saw it. And I saw it for both halves. I think it was the first half and the second half. Olaf's clearly in these guys' ears, getting the boys riled up in the locker room, ready to come out and be composed from the start and really apply some serious pressure. So I appreciate the start from the team.
I mean, this is one, Jake, that I was kind of shocked also maybe to take a step back before the game even started. When they started showing the preview, why was it so empty in LA?
Yeah.
I feel like these fans, they probably got a little bit overhyped. They obviously had their first game at home against San Diego, got dunced 2-0, and they have yet to win since. They had to go to Costa Rica. I was a little worried that this place is going to be absolutely rocking Sunday Night Soccer, but it was pretty empty in there. And that was the one worry for me, Jake. I was going to say, if we want to try to win this game, we got to take the legs from out under them, which they didn't have many legs to start with, but I thought the fans might have given that to them. And once I saw it was empty, I was like, this is ours for the taking.
Yeah, you wonder if this is like the beginning of the end for the Galaxy, at least this season. And maybe they'd say, hey, it's worth it with getting the MLS Cup. But the fans didn't look too in it from the start. I would agree. And I think it's hard when, again, you're kind of on the back foot to begin as the home team. And I think that was done through the early strong start, but also through corner kicks and set pieces, of which we carried a threat all evening on. And obviously we got one of our goals off of that as well. So I saw some good development. Last year, I feel like we got away from the first year of this team where set pieces can be an advantage, a strategic advantage to generate high quality XG offensive chances and use your big boys, of which we have a ton, to boss people around in the box. And they did. And we had some early, I'd say straight off the training ground, corner kicks where guys, I think it was Leuven, fizzed it near post low into Hartel, who kind of just takes maybe one touch and just fizzes a low near post shot, forces an early shot on goal. And they say, hey, we're here. And these are going to be taken seriously all night. And it really set the tone that we were going to take set pieces really seriously.
And that was an absolute nightmare for defenders and as a goalkeeper. If you think about this, you're the goalkeeper, you're trying to find your way for your footing, thinking a ball's going to be whipped in, trying to find where you can make a jump and catch it. Then it get fizzed in near post. If you saw it, John Nelson, actually in a terrible spot, like for him, I think he was in a great spot defensively, but right on the back of Hartel, and he didn't really know what to do. I don't know if it was smart or not, but he immediately went to ground and essentially did like a scissor around Hartel, just trying to see if any way if the ball's going to go left or right and try to pop it out. Great first time for Hartel, putting it right on net.
Yeah, and I think, too, another thing, I agree. I think set pieces for me, I think we talked about even before this game, you're going to need to continue that progress, momentum game to game, because even if things aren't going well for you, let's just say in a game, think about a game like our second against San Diego, where things just weren't going well. Obviously we still come out of that with a draw, but you're one corner kick away. If you can carry a threat constantly from set pieces, you're one set piece away from delivering a different result and shocking a team in a fashion like that. So I think that's something I want to see keep progressing as well. And I think that starts in the training ground. And I also want to give kudos to the team for just overall composure. Galaxy were not at their best. They're missing a lot of good players. They were leggy from their last match as well, having just had a long flight. And I want to give kudos to the team for staying composed because there were waves. Galaxy had some pressure. Gabriel Peck gave us plenty of things to consider on defense. And we did concede more shots as well. But between Berkey and the defense, this team looks miles ahead of what we've seen defensively as the last year or so. And I cannot wait to see what a full season looks like. And I'm hoping that this small sample size will extrapolate, across the whole season, and only time will tell. But there were times where even under pressure, Justin, I'm feeling myself a lot more, confident now that we can come out on the other side clean.
Yeah, this is one of those, Jake, that I don't think we saw very often last year. I think the first two games, we were just absolutely locked down defense. Even though we gave up pretty much, 2 total shots against Colorado, not on goal. We only had 1 shot against in the San Diego game as well. So then coming into this LA game, you're like, all right, maybe we're just so locked up. However, we let a little bit of the shots kind of get past us, but the XG wasn't there. And then when it was there, Mr. Roman Berkey was there to make the save. Yeah. They had 23 total shots with 8 on target, obviously letting in 0 goals. And we'll talk about how impressive that is out of Mr. Roman Berkey here in a sec. But of 23 shots, only having an XG of 1.8, we had a total of 14 shots and we had a higher XG than them of 1.98. So this is one that even when they were ripping shots on us, they were not great chances. You can kind of just take its stats and look back at it. And I think that where the XG, that's where it really comes into play is like, how quality are those chances? Yeah. And I do think that that LA team has a pretty relatively high-powered offense, even though they're missing Ricky Push. This is one that we still kind of nullified that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think they maybe had probably 2, maybe 3 big chances. But again, we hadn't called on Berkey the entire season yet. And obviously only 2 games prior. But he hadn't really been called. He had 1 shot on goal. So to have him step up in the way that he did and act like he's been fielding, these bangers all season. And it's hard for goalies, in my opinion, that when you get called on in a game and you're kind of coming out of the cold. Maybe it's been not even saying cold temperature. I'm just saying, you haven't been engaged. You haven't been found that much in the game. You haven't been tested. For him, it hasn't really been tested much this season. And he breaks into this game and he becomes the star of the show. I mean, absolutely best player on the pitch. And he was leaving nothing easy for the Galaxy. I want to give my kudos as well, Justin, to Olaf. I think in-game management, I saw a little bit of good and a little bit of bad. In this. And bad, you can take with a grain of salt because ultimately it worked. But from the good side, I think at half, we're kind of going in surviving, right? We're kind of hemmed back a little bit. We're surviving and going wave by wave from the Galaxy. And I think in the second half, you saw us come out with a little more high press, a little more intensity, a little more in-your-faceness for the Galaxy to prevent, that momentum from continuing to build and build until they do find the back of the net. And I think that was a good way to start. And I think that new energy ultimately led to us breaking through as well. And the guys clearly came out ready to fight and scrap early in the second half.
I think it was actually extremely impressive. This is something that I think every time we talked about it when we had Carnell, I don't think we had to worry about it as much with Hack because it was just so fun to watch that soccer. We were winning so many games. But when you look at it with Carnell, the in-game management just wasn't there. But you could see Olaf, he's still composed. And I don't know if it's just that stoic Swedishness where you're just standing there like, You can see even after the first, when we put the Instagram video up and the reel, and he after the goal, when it goes to him, he's just like, "Yep, that's what we need to be doing. That's it right there." So this is a mentality that I really appreciate from him. And I do want to bring in a couple of comments here because one, thank you guys for the comments on the sound issues that we were having on the first stream. But two, let's bring in a couple of these. I think this is so Ben Byers that actually is helping out with Mike Sinnott on Chat City Tactics. You need to go follow them on Twitter if you've not, or X and Instagram now if you've not already. We'll be sharing his post, but Ben says lots of shots here. 13 of their shots were from outside of the box, and I think that's a tribute to us. Sometimes that makes it could be right outside of the box, but a lot of these we were just so condensed and packed in and not allowing them to slip anybody that they're just getting impatient and ripping those shots. Jake, you're a big fan of the acronyms here. I want to get your thoughts here on what Jerry has here. City is ranked 30th in PPDA, which is pass per defensive action. Do you see that as being a good thing or a bad thing or nothing kind of thing?
I see it. That's a great last option. I'll take option C.
Give me a hot take.
No. And I'll explain why. So nothing kind of thing. I think that was a metric we were very high in season 1 and even season 2. But looking now at season 3, passes per defensive action doesn't tell you what you did with the ball after. It just says how often or how frequently you are willing to step in and make a foul, make an interception, make a tackle, step in on an opposing attacker. And just because you have a good pass per defensive action, so a good for pass per defensive action or PPDA is lower. So we were, I don't even remember probably 2023 in the 4s, 5s, maybe even 6s. And we're probably trending towards the upper, maybe even double digits now. And that's fine as long as you have product to show, right? Like no one's going to complain about you having a higher passes per defensive action or worse because it doesn't translate into a meaningful stat, right? Just because you have that doesn't mean you're winning, doesn't mean you're winning balls in good spots. It just means that you're stepping in often. So I say it can be a nothing kind of thing, but if you start to see those interceptions, those tackles in higher areas, you see, okay, hey, this is a high pressing team. If you start to see them kind of lower in terms of where you engage the attack, maybe you're more of a lower block or a middle block type team. So I think it just tells you that we're also sometimes now inviting a little bit of pressure, saying, okay, we're going to be really hard to break down and beat. So come at us, see what you can do. And I think for the most part, teams have come away with their hands empty. I mean, ultimately, right, we have 3 clean sheets. So it's a really impressive start. And I think just because that stat is the way it is, doesn't mean anything negative. And it doesn't necessarily mean positive. I think for us, we'll see how it goes for the whole season, but I'm okay with that.
Jake, I know another point that we have on here that I actually wanted to pull in a tweet from Mike. So it'll be zoomed in here, and I'm going to share my screen. The subs that we had for Mr. Yarrow and Mr. Simon Betcher. So we said, one of the guys that responded said, I think it's the main thing I would love to see you break down is it looks off at first, but they figured it out. What do you think of the change of formation with the 62-minute subs, Yarrow and Betcher, and then also Watson Morales, and when did that start working? So as we scroll up and you look at this kind of dip in the game, you could see when these subs occurred, and you could see Mike's response here saying, definitely something to talk about because here's the time frame between the subs for All for City. We're walloped during that stretch. One of the most one-sided stretches of the game. Jake, what were your thoughts when you saw that? I think we had a lot of people that are like DMing us. They're like, what's going on with this? Why are we bringing Yarrow into the game? Where does he fit in this lineup, especially at this time?
I was with them, man. I mean, I was, why? Because I think your immediate thought is because you're bringing on Yarrow and Betcher. Yarrow, just another center back, but you're taking out Klauss and Teuscher, 2 attackers, and only bringing in 1 to replace him. Clearly, you're conceding a little bit of the game from the attack perspective, and I thought it was a little bit too early for that, right? There's still a half hour to play. I think Klauss definitely still had some more engine in him. Teuscher, again, I think still getting back to full 90-minute fitness, so I kind of saw that, but when you're doing not a 1-for-1 or a like-for-like swap, you're clearly changing something, and I think for me, it was kind of conceding a little bit, at least at the face. And what you saw is a little bit of disjointedness, a little bit of a reaction where we no longer knew where we were supposed to be because there was another defender to add to the mix. And it's like, okay, well, where's my guy now? Where's his guy? And how do we adjust to this new formation or this new way of defending? And I think it threw things off because I think things were going relatively well before that. Not that they were as solid defensively as you'd want them to be at that moment in the game, because LA was bringing some pressure. And I think this was a response to that. And it ultimately worked. It was like one of those things where it's like, it takes a little bit of time. It's like the Mentos in the Coke. It doesn't happen instantly. Got to give it a little shake up and then it starts to work. And I think maybe over time, you saw us kind of find our rhythm with that new personnel change. And we got it.
And this is one that I really do appreciate, even though it's a questionable call in the mindset of that being up 2-0. Do you really want to rock the boat that much? But this is one that I would also say, and maybe make a little analogy here. If you're looking to make a run into a very long season, you got to be able to have a rotational center back, like a rotational, not only from the top three or so. I know we have a couple different center backs. We're going to need Yarrow at some point. Yeah. This is not just going to be relying on these three guys. Nielsen will be in and out of the lineup. So having the depth here is something that you're seeing right now from these Missouri Tigers that are about to make a run in the Arch Madness tournament as well. This is something that you're going to want to have if you're looking at this for a long run into what we hopefully are playing into December.
I agree. And what better segue? I'm seeing some great Klauss comments in here, just showering some Klauss love. Zach saying Klauss is just continuing to show how important he is to pull defenders to him on a run and make the next pass to an open man. I swear it happens so often. JT on the back of that saying Klauss is so physical and bodies them out of the way. So much space created. I think we're making some Klauss lovers here. This is great. This is not what you were seeing a couple weeks ago. I think and it was your call out, Justin, is do your homework. Watch the game and think and look at the other things that he's doing that aren't just sticking the ball in the goal. And I got to tell him, like, it's not on the stat sheet all the time. It's not chances even created. It's not XG. It's not expected assists. It's almost like the pass before the pass before the pass is something that Klauss had a hand in, that if that doesn't happen, the play doesn't happen. A Teuscher goal doesn't happen. A Hartel chance doesn't happen. He is a space creator. We keep shouting it. Mike is famous for saying it.
I would say also the one that JT threw in here, his shot off the post, that curler.
Oh,
like that man, that we are just inches away from scoring. I mean, so the one thing I will say, Jake, is we're here to help educate people. Yep. So I really do hope that we're not just like forcing this Klauss love. Just watch the game, because if you think about it, just for anybody that wants to do a comparison, we saw a lot of Klauss haters in a 0-0 draw, another 0-0 draw. Guess what? He still didn't score. Not here in the haters. Yeah. So it's all about, it's where team performance goes, but he didn't score. So that is the same argument that has been made. However, I do appreciate it. It's something that you kind of have to turn the page on. And it's not just going to be, this guy's getting paid over $1 million. He's our DP. It's all about the style of play. And we've talked about this forever. Lutz is building a team that is going to work in a format, in a team setting. It's not going to be your Marco Royce, whose controller just died and just standing there. I forgot. I need to look that up. And one of the other social media guys, Forest City, posted that, and I absolutely loved it. Like just in concrete right there. That's exactly. So this is one that we are having a DP that is a workhorse, and you could tell also after the game, the locker room vibes are way back up. These guys are just having a great time.
Yeah, no, and I'm happy for the man. If that goal would have gone in, I would have been shouting from the rooftops. He was the only attacker that didn't score, like the only pure attacker. So I'm hoping he gets his goal. That curler would have been nice. But you mentioned culture, Justin, and what that means to the team. After the game, obviously the boys were pumped up, right? They got their first win, an away win against MLS Cup champions. Don't care what kind of form they're in. We'll take it. We'll snatch it from you. And I was pumped, man. And to watch the team and see the Instagram, it was beautiful. The guys were pumped. They were excited. Almost excited. Are we getting another visit from our friend? A little doggy break? A little doggy jazz? Jazz,
let's not forget why we're here, ladies and gentlemen. We are at the Hoffman Brothers headquarters, and we are here because they are partnering with Stray Rescue for the months of February and March. Yes, we're in March right now, but they do this for the 11th year in a row.
Who's Jazz's favorite player, you think?
I think Jazz's favorite player, he's got some pretty big paws. I'm going with Mr. Roman Berkey.
Oh, I like that.
Jazz is going to be a big one.
I like that. And Roman Berg, I wouldn't fault him because, he was my man of the match, absolutely, in this game. And he had those big paws, man. He was safe. He was sturdy. He was composed. He did everything he had to do. He is my heart and soul of the team for the game. He faced 1.87 expected goals on target, not just expected goals. So in the goal frame, after the shot's been taken from where it is, that kind of quantifies and adds that extra layer to it. 8 saves, 2 high claims. He commanded his box. He had 47 touches on the night. Unbelievable. So good from Roman Berkey. I think if he can, I'm not even saying replicate that form, but anything close to that and do that for the course of the season, God, it's like taking 2023 Berkey, shoring up our defensive line, and keeping a somewhat good gelling attack. It's scary if you can piece those together.
Defense wins championships. However, I'm always going to be differing from you for the heart and soul of the team because there's plenty of guys that are actually having great games. Yeah, we're going to have a tough one. We have a couple L's here and there. But on this one, I'm going to go with Hartel. 1 goal on 5 shots, 52 touches, which is second most on the team behind Mr. Edu Leuven. He had 7 passes into the final third, connecting 78% of his total passes. You know that those 7 passes going into the final third and all these 78% of his passes, these are not ticky-tacky like, oh, Jake, take the ball.
Right.
You know that Mr. Hartel is actually just slotting balls in, so I really appreciate the effort that he gave.
I do too. And to kind of round us out on the game, I pulled a couple of interesting statistics in the vein of our friend Chat City Tactics, Mike, who we had in the last episode. Go check that out if you haven't listened to it. Fun episode diving deep on the City angle or the data angle of City, and go check his stuff out on Twitter or on Instagram now and on Substack. But here are my stats for the game. So MLS PR shared this on Twitter, so I'm not going to take claim for this. We're the 5th team in the last decade, the last 10 years, to not concede through 3 games. 3 clean sheets. We would have bitten anyone's hand off of those last year. We were not getting them, and we got 3 already in a row to start this season. Incredible start from the defense. We also have only conceded this. We've conceded the 2nd highest expected goals against in this game ever for us without conceding. So we conceded 1.82 of expected goals against, and we conceded 0. So Roman Berkey effectively, don't need to be a genius. He basically prevented 2 whole goals with all those saves that he made. The last time we did this was against San Jose in a 3-0 W in March of 2023. So that was our 4th ever match. No one even knew what we were about back then. So I think that says a lot to me. How long did it take us to get our first away win, Justin, in 2024? Remember how long of a stretch that was? It was painful.
August?
It was September against San Jose as well, who were the Wooden Spoon eventual winners. So it took us 30 games last season to get our first away win, and it took us 3 in our second away match of this season to get. I think that's super impressive. I love that stat. Finally, how do you win games comfortably? You got to put distance between you and the opponent, and you've got to defend. How many times did we win by 3 in 2024?
4.
Oh, 1 time, man. I think it was 4 or 5 in the first season. But in 2024, we won 1 time by 3 goals. And I'm not even saying 3-0. I'm just saying 3 goals, and that was a 3-0 win against Houston in October. So a lot of good kind of early milestones already being hit by this team if I'm kind of benchmarking us to last year. And last year was a poor year, don't get me wrong. But again, you want to see progress, and this team is laying down a line in the sand saying we're here to play in 2025.
And I just realized how dumb that was for me to say we had 4 wins by 3 or more. Did we only have 8 wins total? Like imagine if 4 of them were just absolutely trouncing it. Right. I mean, it would make a lot of sense with how lopsided that season was.
Agreed.
But as we kind of talked about, so we talked about that game, kind of recapping it. I want to bring us into Seattle, Jake, because this is a very interesting Seattle team. And I keep looking at you, probably like I have googly eyes. I'm looking right past you and looking at Jazz.
I can feel it, yeah.
Oh, my God, they're so cute. We'll have to get them back in here at some point. But let's go into the Seattle game. What happened in 2024? We lost to them twice. We lost 2-0 on the road and then also 2-1 at home. And also, it's not to a bad team. Last year, they had 57 points. They're 4th in the Western Conference, 7th in the MLS. That was what I kind of considered our realistic ceiling for this season, with 1 win in the first 9 games played. Yeah. But then they lost in the Western Conference Finals against the LA Galaxy. Yeah. That team really turned it around.
They did. They had a really slow start last year. But again, Seattle is sort of one of those things where they feel like they're kind of inevitable at times, and they found the different gear. They notched up and up and up. And I mean, frankly, they were a game away from being in the MLS Cup after really struggling through the first quarter to a third of a season. So they've got that nous, that experience, that ability to kind of make something from nothing and turn things around when they're not going right. And I think part of that comes down to experience. But let me talk about this season so far, Justin. They've played RSL at RSL, lost 2-0. They played Cruz Azul at home, drew 0-0. They hosted LAFC and won 5-2. That's a big win, in my opinion. And they also played midweek in Mexico City. So just yesterday, was that Tuesday now? They played a couple days ago on Tuesday in Mexico City against Cruz Azul in the return leg of CONCACAF Champions Cup. And they lost 4-1, exited the tournament, got dominated. And from what it looks like, haven't seen official reports come in, it looks like Jordan Morris, who we'll talk about in a second, and potentially also Paul Arriola suffered some injuries that could put them in question, at least for this match this weekend. Not that you ever want that, right? Like we want to beat teams with their stars, with their players, but hey, you know what? A win's a win. It's not going to look any different. There's not going to be an asterisk on it on the wins column or the standings for us. So you'll take what you can get. And I think you're facing Seattle at a pretty opportune time at home to do something we haven't done before. We've never beaten Seattle.
Right. And who are the guys that we're going to need to beat them? One, shutting down Mr. Jordan Morris, number 13 of the team. His breakout season, Jake. When I was looking up this research, it was pretty insane. I kind of forgot about this. His breakout season last season, most goals in his 7-year career in the MLS. And then he also had 5 assists as well. And then this year already, he's got 3 goals in 3 regular season games played, a goal every 72 minutes.
I mean, he's Mr. Fantastic for them. The guy is, I mean, he's kind of one of the most famous, I feel like, MLS players, like full MLS players of all time. I think he'll go down as a great for sure. And I respect the career that he's had, and he's a Seattle legend. So I'm happy for the guy. And he's kind of helmed, I'd say, by Albert Rusnak as well, number 11, if you're looking for him on the pitch. He's a smaller guy, frame, 5'9", about 135, but he's a baller. He had and led the team in goal contributions last year with 10 goals, 16 assists. I mean, 26 goal contributions from a player like that. Absolutely incredible return. And they're also being boosted by a younger, recent kind of joiner for the team in terms of the minutes that he's getting here in Seattle is Paul Rothrock. By the way, awesome last name. I love that. Number 14 on the pitch, 5 goals, 2 assists last season. You know, not a ton of output there, but he only played 14 full 90s. And this season he's already elevated his role. He's got a goal and an assist already. But Justin, they've got some change in the team, obviously, of course. You know, I think the deal with Seattle, which we'll get to, is defense, super solid last year. Offense, not as much. So they departed Raul Rudiez, their striker. They departed Josh Atencio, a defensive midfielder for them. And they departed another winger as well in Leo Chu. But they brought in some product, and I think we might be as well. We got a curious one. We'll see if he makes his way back around here to the end of the table. He's getting some water. He's starting to stay hydrated. But Justin, anything stick out to you in terms of the incomings? Obviously, bringing in basically like the B to C U.S. men's national team guys with Ferreira, who is still a great MLS caliber player, still puts the ball in the back of the net. Dallas was tanking a little bit, and he joins Seattle. I think immediately elevates them to much more of a contender status.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I would say he's only played 103 minutes so far in these first 3 games, but it's going to be one that they're going to be working him into this system, and it's going to be kind of a scary 2-headed monster at the top. When you're looking at Mr. Jesus Ferreira and Mr. Jordan Morris. And then also, if they're going to bring in, you already talked about the B or C squad guys, we're going to be talking about Mr. Paul Arriola with only 74 minutes so far this time. And then Kim K.
Yeah. Hi. Kim Key, the new center back they brought in. He hasn't played yet for him. We'll see if he features or if he's dealing with some injuries or some niggles having to deal with him. But the other thing I'm going to call it too, a little homecoming. Justin, little homecoming. People forget because he didn't play almost at all for us. But John Bell is getting some meaningful minutes with the Seattle Sounders. He's a guy that we took a flyer on and was with City during our first season. And then Seattle, I believe, picked up him in the re-entry draft maybe. And he went the full 90 last weekend in their W at left center back. So it looks like they deployed a little 3-back there. And they're a little more flexible. But Justin, I mentioned this already. What sticks out to you about Seattle? I think a big thing for me is, again, it's that defensive solidity. They stick around in games. And typically, again, they have that experience that we've been here before attitude of being able to turn and flip a result their direction if they need to. And last year, they were one of the best defenses in MLS. When you think about they had the lowest non-penalty XG conceded all year, but that offense just never really fully got humming, even though they brought in a new DP in Pedro de la Vega for $7.5 million. He's a designated player doing not enough for that team. And none of that stuff that we talk about Klauss doing, you know, off the ball stuff and things that free up space for other teammates. I'm looking at Seattle, and I think they're having a little bit of a slower start. I think some of that's coming down to injuries. And just we saw what happened to us last year at CONCACAF Champions Cup. It kills some teams in the beginning. I think they're an example of that. They're already out of it. They're also going to play in the Club World Cup this year, the FIFA Club World Cup against some big teams. They'll also play in Leagues Cup. So this is not the end. They're going to keep getting more and more minutes in their legs, but they have a deeper team this time around. And I think they're a legit team that's always in and around that playoff picture. And when they get in, you know that Seattle's probably going to get into the quarters, you know, maybe even semis, because they just have that aura, I feel like, about them. So we cannot take them lightly at all.
No, and I think it's important, Jake, that we're going to be welcoming them to a packed Energizer Park. I want to call it City Park every time. We're getting closer. I'm getting there. But honestly, because this is a team that has already been stout. They obviously made the run last year to the Western Conference Finals, and they just shored up their team. Their defense is coming back. All the starters are going to have the chemistry there. Yes, they lost some attacking prowess, but they added in Jesus Ferreira, who's going to be playing alongside Jordan Morris, who had the best season of his career, as already mentioned. So this is a team not to be just overlooked. And yeah, it's like, oh, Seattle, like I get it. Maybe they're just a really good home team because they're playing up there and the fans up there are known as the 12th man in the NFL. they add to that when they go play their soccer is there up there as well. But ultimately, they have a very sound team through and through. No pun intended. Sound.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. We'll take that. I want to talk. I mean, I saw a comment in here too from JT. I'll throw that up. JT, good stat to call out. We've only ever scored 1 goal against Seattle. So if we're going to win this game, you got to have at least one if you're not going to concede, probably a couple if you want to make it feel safe. And at home, I think you would put probably a little bit of dough on that. I know you like to foray into that space at times. So this is something you got to do, something you haven't probably done before. And that is soundly, look at us, really take it to a contender, a good team. They're at home now. We talk about how important it is to win your home matches. And I think for us, you got to not just win those games against opponents that you can, but do some of the things that people wouldn't expect you to do. I think beating Seattle at home, people can make up whatever story they want in terms of, they're leggy. They got a lot of minutes or legs already with these new competitions this season. But you know what? Again, that's not going to matter. No one's going to look at the playoffs and say, well, City got the 3 seed and Seattle got this because Seattle played City back in March and they were pretty leggy after that game. No one's going to care. You got to get business done, and you got to slice throats. When they come here, you got to be ruthless. And so I really hope the team ends.
And I think the reason that we need to do that as well is after that first game, everybody kind of left like, that was a little bit of a letdown. That was ours. We owned that game, and we had a great starting 11. And Jake, that brings us directly into the Hoffman brothers starting 11.
It's so weird doing that with no sound, but we did it. Hopefully you all heard that sound. Honestly, it's tough for me to think about this 11 for this week because I don't have many gripes with the result last week. I think I look down and I think about what I want to see. The only thing I'm up to, Justin, I want to hear your thoughts here is, if possible, I would like to potentially see a change in the back 3. It sounds like Nilsson's back in training. I'm not saying he's my change. I think they're going to ease him in. Again, you have to. The guy is just so injury prone. You want to see more out of him. But I think if I am Olaf, we saw a good cameo. We saw a good debut from Baumgartel in this last match. Can you give him that home debut in front of all the fans at Energizer Park? He brings so much quality. They talked about it in the broadcast. Taylor Twellman, I think, went as far as to say, if we're going to be successful in this season, he's got to be that 1A or that 1B center back for us in that back 3. So I think this could be a match. You get to throw him in. And I think where I would do that is either at the expense of Horn or Hebert. And I'm torn either way. But I think my back 3 would probably be Berkey. I think I'd probably keep Kessler where he is in the center. I think I'd probably bring Baumgartel to the left center back where Horn normally is. And then I'd stick Kyle Hebert out on the right because Horn's not going to be, transferable on the either side of the center back. He's a left-sided center back in a back 3. I don't think it works the same way. But maybe Baumgartel has a little more tool in his shed to go to the right center back. And you could have Horn, Kessler, and then Baumgartel as well. So I'm open to that. I want to get him a 90, and I think doing it at home feels right. I just want to see a full 90 from this guy that, oozes quality. He's played at super high levels. Can he bring something to us?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And the one thing I will definitely say is Kessler staying in the middle right now. We'll see what would happen when Nilsson comes back. Yeah. But I do think that not just continuity, but the way that he demands and kind of instructs the players around him and in front of him, I think that's a big reason as to why we are not giving up as many goals, is making sure the guys are in the right spot. So I agree with you on the back line. Then I'm going to go Wallum, Leuven, and Hartel, Durkin, and Toland, because I really do think that is the 5 that we've been having right there. And then up top, I think you got to go back to the Klauss structure.
You do. I mean, it was comfortable. They generated a lot of dangerous moments last week in LA, against a good team. So off camera, you can see that the doggies are having a little bit of play time right now, a little bit of loud play time. But it's gonna be a dogfight, man. It's gonna be a dogfight out there. And I think Klauss is a dog. You put him out there, he bullies these guys. It doesn't matter how big they are. He can hold anyone up off the ball, create space for his wingers and for his midfielders to get involved, get in the play, maybe Hartel to get on the ball, drive forward. I think Klauss is number 1 on the team sheet when you think about the attack. And then I think Teuscher is your finisher. He is your clinician when you think about it. So I think pairing him up with Klauss, who can struggle, obviously, to put balls in the back of the net, is a perfect kind of 1A, 1B situation. And then you have Betcher waiting in the wings if things aren't going right, or if you want to just hit him in the gut with something else like Betcher. I mean, obviously he does that.
And then if you want to bring a guy on, give me a little Celio action and just absolutely bring him home and make Energizer Park absolutely rock.
I do too. I think that's going to be how it rolls. I think Klauss Toy Shirt are the starting duo up top. What do you think, Justin, about your goals for the game? I know we have some live odds we'll break down here too as well, but I kept mine simple, man. I think you've got to get a home W here. We don't want to wait anymore for a home W. I don't care who is coming to Energizer Park for us. I think you've got to eat Seattle alive in this. This is a good opportunity. You've got to seize the moment. And I think this to me would be a big signature win. We're not even 5 games into the season. If you can beat Seattle at home after already getting your away win and doing the business in LA, I think we mean business, man.
Absolutely. And my goal over this game, Jake, is honestly, yes, we need to score to win the game. I'm going to even be, again, more specific. Score first. This is the one thing that I thought that we needed to do in LA to take their crowd out of it. Flip side, we're back at home on a Saturday night at Energizer Park. Score first. Let this place get absolutely rowdy. And we're going to be playing against a Seattle team that's already going to be a little leggy from their midweek game and just cut the legs out from them completely.
Yeah, I love it. So predictions, Justin, before we get into our final segments of the day, the show, I've got 2-0W. I've got Dos Acero on my mind. I think, especially if Morris is what we're hearing, I see Jerry here in the comments here. It sounds like he's not going to be featuring for Seattle, which is great news for our defense. Not that we need that, but I think that helps. I'm optimistic about keeping another clean sheet here. And I'm also optimistic about us overwhelming them with our depth and with our different attacking options and with, a good sample from our last match and what worked. And you even mentioned Seal. We haven't even seen a lot of Celio yet. And think about what he was bringing to this team last year. Can you work him in more and just keep hitting them at different angles with different personalities and bodies that bring a totally different dimension to the game? So I'm optimistic. I think 2 goals wins you this game. And I think a clean sheet would be icing on the cake.
I'm going to go with a 2-1 dub, Jake. I just think that Jordan Morrison team has a little bit too much firepower, and I am very impressed with our defense right now, but I'm not going to be upset if we let in 1 goal against this team. I think this is a team that's very strong, and I just kind of want to be a little bit more – I would love to go 4 straight games without giving up a goal. That would be record-setting again, extending our own record. Yeah. But the one thing that I would say, Jake, is I actually think that Klauss is going to get one in this game.
I do too.
I think this is one where we've talked about it's like, oh, we're going to hate him for a 0-0, hate him for a 0-0. He played pretty well on it, and he still didn't score in a 3-0. Now he's going to score, and then there's going to be nothing else to say.
No, I can't wait. I would love for him to shut the haters up and just to get that first one off his back, because I think for him it's a confidence thing. If he can find that first one, I really do think it's a matter of just getting momentum and driving it and driving it and driving it. And if he can stay healthy, I really think a full season of him just chipping in every once in a while with those goal outputs and those assists and just everything he does already, I think it's just going to build such a big season for us. So I'm feeling a Klauss goal as well. I have a feeling that will be a pick for me in our underdog entry. We will have a pack out this weekend, Justin.
Yes,
it is a home game. You will see these beautiful faces on the app in Missouri. If you are a customer of Missouri, not even if you just signed up through us, anyone in Missouri will see these faces and be able to tail or follow our entry and be able to hopefully win a nice little multiplier and have a nice little Saturday evening. Anything else come to mind for you, Justin? You're kind of eyeing a certain player or a certain projection?
I would love to take the lower on the Berkey goals again, because I do think that I don't think I see the Seattle team scoring 2 goals on us at home. So I would take the lower 1.5. So we'll work on some things, and obviously this pack will be out on Saturday. But you know what's out right now, Jake? This is one that I definitely want to continue to push on is, again, Hoffman Brothers, the starting 11, our favorite partner. We are at the Hoffman Brothers headquarters, and they are doing a giveaway for 2 tickets to the game on May 10th against the new expansion club, San Diego. Go look at this picture that's on Instagram right now with us. If you go to this picture, look at Jazz and look at Tango with us in front of the Hoffman Brothers sign. If you go and like and comment on this picture, you are entered to win those 2 free tickets to the expansion club coming to St. Louis on May 10th.
Yeah, I mean, what a time to be alive. Thank you so much to Hoffman Brothers for having us here and for bringing the pups. Obviously, shout out to Stray Rescue STL as well. Make sure to give them both a follow. Check them out on social media. Obviously, local organizations that care a lot about this community, as do we. And we can't be more grateful for Hoffman Brothers for offering the opportunity to give away these tickets as well to some deserving listeners.
This is one that also you need to be following us and Hoffman Brothers. And I promise you want to follow Hoffman Brothers. We talk about this, the reels they're putting out right now for the helpful tips around your home. That alone is worth the content that they're putting out there. But also then to end up getting that home protection plan, go follow us and Hoffman Brothers, like that picture. And then lastly, Jake, get to the pitch. Yeah. Downtown, it's going to be, the weather on Friday is not going to be great. Saturday is going to be just fine. And they have the St. Patty's Day parade. The pitch is gearing up for it. Do you see the picture of the food they put out there? Frozen Irish coffees are going to have a little green tint to them. It's going to be flowing. Get to the pitch. I'll be there as well. You can come find us at our usual spot. So get to the pitch this weekend. Go to our story as well. The pitch is in a competition of local bars. They should easily win this on an absolute landslide.
Yeah.
But let's make sure that happens. Go to the post that they have shared, and let's beat Westport Social. I don't know why that would even be a choice when you think about the pitch compared to those two.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We love ours, right? We love St. Louis. We love the stuff here. So if you support us, support some of our partners as well. So shout out to all of them. Again, a final shout out to Hoffman Brothers for having us here today. And we'll probably do some more stuff like this in the future, barring the technical difficulties. Thank you all for bearing with us, joining a different stream and hopping in. We appreciate you and hope you have a great rest of your evening. And for now, all for City.
All for City.